When I wrote my book, First They Came for the Gun Owners, one of the questions I tried to answer is, why, oh why, does the anti-gun lobby want us so desperately to be disarmed when it's clear that disarming ordinary American law-abiding gun owners has no impact on public safety or crime? What was their motive? Well, I think we figured out their motive, strangely enough, in the conduct of how they're dealing with Israel and denying them shipments of arms. You're not going to want to miss how I connect the dots here to show you exactly why they want us to be disarmed so they can boss us around. Stay tuned. Hey folks, I'm Mark Smith, host of the Four Boxes Diner, proud American gun owner, constitutional attorney, member of the United States Supreme Court Bar, and author of Disarmed, What the Ukraine War Teaches Americans About the Right to Bear Arms. New book being announced very, very soon. All right, folks, so one of the reasons why you tune into the Four Boxes Diner channel is for me to help you connect dots, to make you the smartest person in the room by showing, for example, the motives of the anti-gun liberal leftist in America. Now, a story came across my desk this week that I've been meaning to cover, and I finally have gotten around to it, that teaches us, I think, a lot about why they want us disarmed. Strangely enough, this involves the Biden administration, the most anti-gun administration in American history. The Biden administration's policy toward Israel. Here's what's kind of interesting. A lot of lessons here, including to, unfortunately, how Republicans simply don't know how to negotiate. But we'll get to that in 1 second. To begin, the story is this, that Joe Biden's administration, I'm doubtful it's Joe Biden because I'm not sure Joe Biden makes decisions, but the Biden administration and his handlers decided last week to put on hold a shipment of U.S.-made ammunition to Israel. Why is that? Well, what's interesting, of course, is that we just had this budget fight in the Capitol, in D.C., on Capitol Hill, where the Republicans in the House, with Democrats, basically voted to give away a lot of money to Ukraine and to Israel. And we won't get into the politics of that, but that's what happened. And yet here we have, after this big mishigosh, if you will, this big sort of battle on Capitol Hill over funding of Ukraine and Israel so they can fight back against the Russians and terrorists and whatnot. Here you have the Biden administration actually holding back shipments of weapon systems and ammunition to the Israelis who are in a fight with Hamas and Hamas supporters. Now, there's a big fight already about this. Israel saying that obviously Benjamin Netanyahu, the prime minister in Israel, is essentially complaining that the United States is not living up to their obligations as allies. And of course, the Republicans are complaining because they voted to fund these weapon systems and this ammunition to support Israel in its ongoing fight against various enemies like Iran and Hamas and so on. And here's Joe Biden holding it up. So this got me thinking, what lessons can we in the Second Amendment community draw from Biden's decision to hold back weapons and ammunition from Israel? Well, the reason why the Biden administration said they want to do this is they want to prevent Israel from taking certain steps in self-defense to protect the country, specifically to invade Rafah, which, I don't want to get into the details of the good and the bad and the ugly of whether that's a good idea or a bad idea. It doesn't matter. The point is that the Biden administration doesn't want Israel to invade Rafah. There is part of, the area of Gaza. Okay, the area of Israel that is being controlled by Hamas and whatnot. So the issue is that the Biden administration doesn't want Israel to engage in that attack, that invasion. So what do? They hold back weapons. So this got me thinking, of course. This really does illustrate why they don't want you and I to have our own private arms. They don't want us to have our own private stores of ammunition and weapon systems as we're entitled to under the Second Amendment. The reason why the Biden administration, the anti-gun lobby in America doesn't want us to have this information or have these weapons and this ammunition is because guess what? They want to make sure that we behave the way they want us to behave. So the Biden administration wants Israel to behave in a certain way, and the way they do it is they deny Israel the ability to defend itself by denying them access to weapons and to ammunition that the Biden administration was funded to provide to Israel. So to me, this is analogous to what the Biden administration and the anti-gunners in America are doing in our cities and what they want to do all across our country. On the one hand, they want to allow criminals, terrorists, bad actors, drug dealers, thugs, gang members, all sorts of bad actors to flood our streets and to engage in bad conduct. And if they're ever caught, nothing significant happens to them. It's basically some glorified form of catch and release. And that includes whether you break into the country and just decide to hang out, having broken into the country illegally, having decided to stay in the country illegally, having decided to work fraudulently and thus illegally. Those are the first three laws that all get broken when you break into America. You break in, that's illegal. Stay, that's illegal. Work without proper permits, that's illegal. Well, not necessarily a good plan, but nevertheless, let's set the issue aside. The point is that the Biden administration and the anti-gunners, as I see it, want to encourage lawlessness on the one hand, but then on the other hand, they want to disarm us. Why is that? Because they want us to be like Israel in the sense that they want us to be entirely dependent upon the government for our safety, for our protection. That's the idea. So what the Biden administration is doing to Israel here is they're basically saying, if you want us to feed you, if you want us to give you ammunition and weapons to protect yourself and engage in self-defense, you must do what we say. And if you don't do what we say, even if you think, let's say, invading Rafah is in your national interest, i.e. your self-defense interest, I don't know if it's true or not, but that's what the Israelis appear to think. So I trust their judgment as to what's best for them, just like I trust your judgment as to what's best for you. If that's what they think is best for defending their country, so be it. But the Biden administration is trying to say, no, we don't want you to do that, so we're going to deny you weapons. That's exactly what they want to do to us. They want to live in a system, in a country, in America, where they determine whether or not they protect us. Because here's the thing, they will flood our streets with bad actors, and then they will say to us, hey, do you want to be protected from these bad dudes? Well, we can protect you, but you're going to have to behave in a certain way. You're going to have to vote for the Democrats. You're going to have to vote for welfare. You're going to have to embrace the socialist system. You're going to have to do all sorts of terrible things. Ignore the Constitution. Don't point things out on social media that we don't like, etc., etc. So again, I think that the fact that the Biden administration is trying to use the fact that they want to disarm, in a sense, Israel by denying them these weapon systems, this ammunition, in the same way they want to say, you better behave, Americans, or we will take away your protection, and we will let our shock troops of the left, which in my view, the shock troops of the progressive crazy left at least, not necessarily all Democrats, not necessarily all lefties, but certainly some of them view, I think, the shock troops of the left or the political agitators as the criminal class, the people that are misbehaving, the people that are putting pressure on the system in various ways. And I think they view that as positive. And again, if they don't, it's kind of like the way I would say the mob works, right? If you don't want your window broken, then do what we say and we won't break your window. And I think that the Democrats and I think the liberals want to set up a system just like that, where they control the criminal class. They can indicate what bad things could happen to us, and the only way they will protect us from bad people doing bad things to us is if we play ball with them and do what they want. But of course, that is not a system they currently have, because we have our own guns, we have our own ammunition, we are self-reliant financially, we are self-reliant when it comes to protecting ourselves and the like. We have a lot of peers, and it's part of our self-defense private gun culture, which is different than like a hunting gun culture. We have a private self-defense oriented gun culture in the United States, where there's a lot of people watching my YouTube channel and other YouTube channels speaking about the gun issues, the Second Amendment issues. So we have a whole community of people that are willing to stand up for our Constitution and our Second Amendment right to keep and bear arms. But that is not the system that the anti-gunners and the left wants. And I think if you look at how they treat Israel by denying them critical information, denying them critical weapons and ammunition, to make sure they behave the way the Biden administration wants, whether or not that's in Israel's best interest or not. It's the same system, the same dynamic that the Biden administration, the anti-gun left, in my opinion, wants to design for us. So we're no longer independent, self-reliant citizens. We become subjects or serfs. The good news is I don't think that the anti-gunners are going to be able to get where they want to get. I think there's too much education, too much knowledge and sophistication now out there about what's going on. And, we will see what happens. And as my friend once said to me, the history of the future has yet to be written, so we will see what happens. But do pay attention to how the Biden administration is withholding arms and weapons from our allies, because that is exactly what they intend to do to you if they could ever get you disarmed. But I don't think they're going to get there for a whole host of reasons. All right, folks, hope you learned a little bit something here today. Hope I helped you connect some dots as you continue the good fight for the right to keep and bear arms. Don't forget to follow me on X at 4 Boxes Diner and subscribe to this channel. And we'll see you again soon here at the 4 Boxes Diner.
Orders up. Table 2A.